Welcome back here to Cam's Pizzeria in Camillus, here with Cam Lynch. Cam at Cam's, and it only seemed fitting. Actually, the sign behind you makes it look like this is actually your pizzeria. Yeah. So let's see if Tony will give it to you someday. But Cam's Pizzeria in Camillus, here with Cam Lynch, Syracuse Football alum, NFL prospect. Myself, Dan Tortora, longtime broadcaster with you here on the YouTube channel Wake Up Call DT and wakeupcalldt.com. Listen, watch, read, enjoy. It's as simple as that. An opportunity to have your radio, TV, and newspaper type all in the same place. Makes it easy for everybody. Yeah. You're a big media guy. It's something that you're looking at doing in your future. What have you learned, and what do you think about how technology is? Because obviously, I mean, my show has an app, Apple, right. Google Play. We're doing the video. There's a ton. There's so many, Twitter, Facebook. 10 years ago, recruits didn't have to worry about what they said on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So how do you kind of handle technology now?
Technology rules the world right now. Apple iPhones consume lives, video games, we talked before, consume time. So, it's just huge how you protect your image. You either build it up or you can, burn it down. So it's just huge, and it's an important thing to do is to take care of your image and be careful what you say and what you don't say as well. But, I also learned, too, all that any exposure is good exposure as well, but make sure it's the right one. So, but I've learned a lot through Sue Edson, and like you said, I want to get into this, broadcasting, and Miss Sue has helped me a lot. She's pushing me forward, and hopefully, I'll continue this relationship where this can continue. At the next level, I will definitely talk to the local media and, probably intern there, try to intern there during the summertime, stay up next to the facilities and work out there and get more experience, more practice, the more reps, the better you get. So.
And you bring up Sue Edson. Obviously, she's done a lot of work on the background of Syracuse, somebody who is with the football program all the time, and constantly figuring out, when you guys are going to have speaking engagements, what you're going to be doing, getting information out, letting people know what's going on. It's a big responsibility to be behind the scenes. What can you say about Sue and the team that a lot of people don't know about? I mean, obviously I've been around Sue for 3.5, if not more, years consecutively now, but, you the same, 4 years that you've been around her. What can you say about what the background of Syracuse looks like and how SU football is kind of handled that way?
Miss Sue does a great job. Me and Miss Sue got, I feel like, really close. ACC, us seniors, me and Sean Hickey went to the ACC Media Day, and you see Miss Sue here and there. Actually, my junior year, I got to do more speaking engagements, with the media and talking to the media. So I came in contact with her more often. So her daughter Tracy actually, I was her favorite player. So she made me a little sign. I still have it on my locker now, even though I'm done playing here at Syracuse. But Miss Sue has done a great job. Very family oriented. She's persistent. She works so hard. And not a lot of people know that. Hard-working lady, man, and she just makes sure that our image as a Syracuse football team, and as a university, she's a Newhouse grad, so she makes sure our image is picture perfect at its point. So, I owe a lot to her too as well. Her helping me shape what I want to do for my future, and she's a big part of that as well. So, big ups to Miss Sue, her daughter Tracy, and her son. So me and Miss Sue, we did she she managed the NCAA tournament here at Syracuse, so that was big. I worked that with her as well, and she just opened her doors up and just offered a lot of opportunities to me, put me in touch with different people in Atlanta, anywhere. So that is a great lady that I know, and I owe a lot to her.
What can you say about you got to do something interesting because in your time at Syracuse you got to do people like me are out there filming and recording. You were doing the same thing with Cam's Cam.
Yeah.
When you kind of tell everybody that background story, because some people know about it, some people don't know as much about Cam's Cam, but they know that it's something that was a special piece of Syracuse that hasn't been done before. Just go into how it all kind of came about and what your vision was for that and how it's going to help you in the future.
It all started with Miss Sue again. We went to ACC Media Day in Greensboro, North Carolina, the summer of my junior year, going to senior year. And I realized that a lot of alumni were at that ACC Media Day. Like in the media, Syracuse alum, they are all over the place, all over the country. So I asked Miss Sue. I said, Miss Sue, can I get something where I get my reps up? Dig into get my feet wet into the whole media industry because I want to get into this thing. So she, of course, like she proposed the idea. Her and Brian Higgins, and we ran with it. So basically, what we do is on Cam's Cam. So what we did here, get to know the player. Know what they like. Know if they like to play video games or like Marvel and Capcom. Different things. And there's more to a player than just the athlete. There's the brains behind it. There's the religious and spiritual faith behind them. We're normal people. We just are consumed by football, which we love, but. And it's something that we love to do, but we're also human, and through Cam's Cam, I want to do that and put that out there for the fans to see. Like, okay, we're athletes, we score touchdowns and make tackles, but we also like to do X, Y, and Z, whether it be poetry, music, or dance. Like we're normal people, so that was the goal of the Cam's Cam.
And when you look back on Cam's Cam now, what can you say were some of the best moments that you had?
I think the first and second one, Dyshawn Davis was on there, and we were dancing on that one. That was pretty funny. He was the opener, and he's my roommate then too. So it was just perfect to have Dyshawn on there, linebacker brother. So it was good to have him on there. That was pretty fun. And then the second one with Luke Arsenault and Josh Kirkland, we had like a little flex out. So we like to lift weights at Syracuse. We like to jam music real loud, like. Have our cutoff shirts on, so we take pride in that. And the weight room staff, Coach Hicks and Muscle Man, weight room Wayne, like we go hard in the weight room. So that show was kind of like a meathead show, like muscles out, guns out, suns out type thing. So it was funny, and I enjoyed those too.
Coach Hicks is something that you brought up. I mean, obviously he knows. I think it's easy to say all 32 NFL teams, has a connection somewhere, has been in the business for a long time, knows when a team calls and says, I need X, Y, and Z, what type of guy am I looking for? He knows where to direct him on Pro Day. He did something pretty amazing, and the NCAA tournament doesn't come to Syracuse every year, obviously, and when they came to Syracuse for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8, typically your Pro Day would have been a few days before that, and it ended up getting switched. Mm-hmm. And in getting switched, he had to still call the 32 teams, try and get them out, say, listen, I know that you guys were going to be coming for this, but we still want you to come out now that it's going to be on this Tuesday. And he ends up getting 25 of 32 NFL teams. Only 7 teams couldn't be there. What did that say to you on your Pro Day about Coach Hicks and his amazing ability to make sure that you guys get in front of the people that are going to give you a job potentially?
That's Coach Hicks is a special man as well. He's done a lot, like you said, last minute called 25 teams. He said 20, he was being modest, but ended up getting 25 teams there, so I had to give him a little pound for that because, as athletes, we would like, we want to get a job one day. So like he made that possible. He expanded our opportunity to do that. Put us in front of extra sets of eyes to see our potential, and really appreciative of that. Down south guys from North Carolina, very passionate guy about what we do and our progress. We're with him more throughout the year than any coach. So he's very important and through our success at Syracuse, going to these 2 bowl games, getting stronger, faster. We owe a lot of that to him. So Coach Hicks has done a lot. He cares about what we eat and what our body looks like. So I wish he continues having a lucrative career, and we'll always keep in touch with Coach Hicks.
What is it about this man that becomes so popular during Pro Day, but isn't talked about as much during the season or even outside of that, where he's working every single day? He's with you guys, obviously, preparing for the NFL draft. He's coming off of spring football, then helping you guys for the NFL.
Right.
Then he'll be helping guys who are doing off-season training in the summer. Then he's there in the fall, throughout the season, then back to the spring.
Right.
So he's always doing something to help you out. What can you say about the type of person he is, the type of leader he is? Because I always feel like Coach Hicks needs to be talked about 50 times more than he actually is.
Yes, most definitely. He's the man behind the scenes. He's respected wherever he goes. about everybody on our team respects Coach Hicks because, what he stands for. Like you said, he's a great leader because, he can get a group of 100 guys to do what they're supposed to do and when he wants them to do it. So we all respect and love Coach Hicks. He's a big part of, our Syracuse career. Like, I feel like a lot of weight training coaches and even the trainers, these guys are always here for us. They're around them the most, and these guys don't give them as much credit as they're supposed to, which is fine because, they're not in the front. They're not the front runners, but at the end of the day, they make things happen. Even like to the janitorial staff, like everybody has a part, everybody plays a role. So, but like I said, going back to Coach Hicks, like he's an amazing man, and I feel like he deserves more credit than he has, and he has the accolades. Like he's probably one of the best weightlifting coaches in the country, but he doesn't boast that at all. He just low key and does his job and keeps his nose to the ground and does what he does.
Were there any things from Pro Day or in general that Coach Hicks did to try and help you out personally to get yourself in front of some of these teams?
Yeah, most definitely. He just told us to relax and just to enjoy ourselves, have fun. Some of us get really worked up, like, on the bench, like, I went crazy on the bench. I had to try to get as many reps as I could, but he's like, listen, just relax, go hard, but just be relax and have fun, and that's what we did. Great advice, and he pretty much controlled the whole pro day. Like, this is our pro day. He's like, listen, like, if you need more time, I'll allot this time, and I'll tell him, our guys need more time. He looks out for us. He takes care of us. So, and he loves us dearly, and we love him dearly back. So, Coach Hicks, he does a lot for us, and I appreciate him.
Looking outside of Coach Hicks and looking at Syracuse football as a whole, how do you feel like you're leaving it? I mean, obviously it was a tough season.
Yeah.
3-12 or 3-9, pardon me. And coming off of a season like that, after going to a bowl game, after winning a bowl game in the Texas Bowl, I mean, obviously you don't want to take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that a team wants to see. Defensively, the team was on point. There's a lot of good things that you did. Offensively, every single lineman got injured at some point.
Right.
4 different quarterbacks. There were no quarterbacks left on the roster.
Yeah.
And I don't think any other team in Division 1A had to deal with that.
Right.
So when you look at last season, they're not excuses, but a lot of teams don't have that adversity. How do you look at having your last season be a 3-9 season and everything that came during that season?
I mean, it's kind of rough, but in the long run, the 4 years that we've been there, we left a mark. We were part of a culture change there, and it is not just. It's the last season. That's what people remember. As captains, it's kind of rough. Having a 3-9 season, but we were part of 2 bowl games. We were a part of that. Whether we played special teams or started or were the scout team for the people who did play, we were part of that change. So people may not remember that, but we do in our hearts, and I think that's what all really matters. So we were part of a change, a culture change with Coach Marone and Coach Shafe. So that's what's important.
I want to make a note that even though you didn't win the game at Clemson in Death Valley, 16-6 was the score. 16 points scored by Clemson was their second lowest total the entire season in the regular season, and it was their lowest total in Death Valley. When you look back on that moment, I mean, like you said, a lot of people look at 3-9, but it's more than that. When you look at a moment like Clemson and holding a team to their worst offensive performance in Death Valley, where you're supposed to have a terrible performance, what do you think that says about where Syracuse football is right now?
It's on an upward swing. Coach Bulla is getting our defense right. Coach Lusher's getting the offense right. So, and also what's important too, I feel like people just look at the wins and losses columns, and that's what you do. Like when you look through SportsCenter and look at teams like, they won this many games, they lost this many games. But if you're truly a fan and you really care about the program, you watch the game, you see what we put on film, and from the defensive perspective, that's the only thing I can see and I do know is the defense. And, we fought every single game, regardless of score, whether we're getting blown out or not getting blown out. The fourth quarter, we are going hard every time. So, and as a true fan, as a true Syracuse, alum, like, I'm proud of what we did. Even though we did not win as many games as we wanted to, I'm proud of what we did. So I feel like we left us in a upward swing because we are going in the right direction and we're putting the right things on film. So,
and I want to look at, not just in the ACC, but in the Atlantic piece of it, the Atlantic Division, you have to go through Florida State, you have to go through Clemson, you have to go through Louisville, NC State's getting better.
Right.
So when you look at the Atlantic Division in and of itself, it's difficult. I mean, it's going to be a difficult road no matter what team you are. Even though you didn't beat Florida State, didn't beat Clemson in your time here, when you look back on those games from 2 years ago to this past season, you made strides against Florida State. It wasn't a 56-point loss. It was a lot tighter of a game with a true freshman quarterback and a true freshman receiver. There were other moments like the Clemson, like what we talked about with Death Valley and how you held them to 16 points. When you look back on how you started against Florida State and Clemson and how you finished as you leave Syracuse, what do you think it says about Syracuse's program and how close you feel you are to going up against the FSUs and the Clemsons of the world?
It was pretty awesome. It was a thing where we played the best team in the nation the year before, and they were a great team. But that's our first year in the ACC. So as we got comfortable with our coach, with Coach Bull, it was his first year being a defensive coordinator at Syracuse University. He was defensive coordinator, at the Browns and different places, but we had to get accustomed to different teams. So I feel like we played them for 4 years. Like the game would get even closer and closer and closer, and one day we'll beat them. So but you never know. But like you said though, like we kept fighting, and it got closer and closer every time we played these teams. They had great athletes, but let the chips fall where they may. You're going to control what you can control, but like I said, every game we got closer and closer. We got hungrier every time we got closer to the goal.
In your time at Syracuse, you've had a head coach switch, defensive coordinator switch, linebacker switch, conference switch.
Right.
Not a lot of people are going through all of that, especially within a 4-year period. What was it like for you to have your coaching staff change, but then to go from the Big East to the ACC? How much of a cultural change, the environment around you, how much of a change was that? Because it seemed like in the Big East you could get away with having maybe 7 wins, where in the ACC, you got teams like Florida State that go undefeated.
It was a big switch, like you said, you face teams like Florida State, the best team in the nation. We're in the Big East, we had good teams, but no teams that really won national championships. So, you're playing high caliber teams, teams with great recruiting classes, top recruiting classes in the nation. So, it was a big switch. We in the Big East, we did play the West V's, we did play, Louisville's and stuff like that, but Louisville came to the ACC, West V changed, but, you're playing these higher caliber teams in the ACC and national championship ranked teams. So, it was a big switch, and it was great because we're always going to say we played the national champs, and we stuck with the national champs the following year, played against James. James Winston, those are the things that we will take with us for the rest of our lives. And as a competitor, you want to play the best. You want to play against the best to see how you match up against them.
And when you look at the best that you feel like you've played against, who do you feel out of everyone you've gone up against personally that you respect? Who do you feel is that the memorable one? Obviously, you and I have joked around and talked about the tackle that you had on Jameis Winston, and obviously that picture's out on the internet, and it's a special thing. What would you consider to be one of the best moments for you when you're facing those tough teams out there?
I think a special moment is when I sacked Teddy Bridgewater. I had a sack on him my freshman year, and I had a big hit on him my junior or sophomore year. So those are big moments where you play like NFL caliber quarterbacks. You get big hits on them. Sack Geno Smith and pinstripe balls. All right, you hit Jameis Winston. So these are big moments, and things we'll remember for the rest of our lives. So they're pretty cool. And like you said, we're playing against high caliber teams, high caliber players. Sammy Watkins, Stedman Bailey, Tavon Austin. High caliber guys. And it's awesome that we moved to the ACC so we can see these different talents.
And I think, West Virginia was a big one because there was that constant, they had their feeling against Syracuse. Obviously, there's a little bit of a rivalry, and now that they're in the Big 12, it's, not really alive. But when you went up against West Virginia, the mentality was that they always came in, they're better than Syracuse. Beat them the first time doesn't matter. Second time, it's a fluke, it's a coincidence. Third time, pinstripe bowl in the snow, you guys wreaked havoc on West Virginia, and that was the last time you played them. What can you say about a moment like that when you're in Yankee Stadium playing in the New Era Pinstripe Bowl, which was your first 3 years of the bowl was around. You went to 2 out of those first 3 years, won them both. Kansas State and West Virginia. Obviously, Kansas State was before you, but when you go up against West Virginia in New York at Yankee Stadium in that rivalry in the snow, was that one of the greatest feel games for you? I mean, was that kind of a vindicating game, so to speak?
Oh, yeah, it was awesome. Even though the conditions weren't the best, but you remember those conditions because they were the worst, essentially. Like playing in sludge, the snow. It's bad, but you remember those games. It's like, man, we played in the snow. Everybody dreams of playing in the snow and sludge and whoop on a team that you're rivals against. So that'll be one of my most favorite games I played in because of the conditions, because of the Yankee Stadium. So that was awesome. I'll never forget that. Sacking Geno Smith in the end zone, tackling Tavon. The stuff it's awesome, and you can't get tired of that.
And I think it's funny because everybody all year long nationally was trying to figure out how do you stop West Virginia's offense. And after that game, my quote was, "You put in Syracuse's defense." I think that was. I mean, they were scoring 60 points, 70 points. But against Syracuse, you were the only team that defensively shut them down. What does that mean to you, that it was a nationally recognized offense with this big-name quarterback at Geno Smith? Nobody's talking about Ryan Nassib. Nobody's talking about Prince Tyson Gully. Nobody's talking about Cam Lynch. But when you ended the game, you had silenced one of the high-powered offenses at that time in the country. I mean, that moment to go into how special that was.
And it was huge because, like you said, like putting the Syracuse defense, and I was a part of the Syracuse defense. Coach Schaefer, headed that as defensive coordinator. Coach Marone was the head coach then. So, it was just a great feeling. Everybody watched that game. Even Coach Lee, he wasn't a part of the Syracuse family then, but he watched the game on TV and was like, I would not mind being a part of that family. So, you never know who's watching. Somebody's always watching you. So whatever you put on film, whatever you do, any feat that you reach, somebody's watching you. So I feel like we always put our best out there, our front foot forward, and kept it pushing.
Not many guys get to win a bowl game necessarily. I mean, it depends. Certain schools are always going back. Some schools aren't. Some are up and down. Syracuse got back into bowl games around your time, a little bit before your time, and then throughout it. You won a bowl game under Doug Marone. You won a bowl game under Scott Schaefer. How different were those years, and how different were those teams in your mind?
I would say, I feel like it's the same because it was back-to-back almost, so the culture was the same, it wasn't too much of a drop-off there, so just the people changed, but other than that, the culture was the same. It's not like it was like we won our freshman year or won our senior year, so the teams would be totally different. It was like we went back-to-back, so things were the same.
And finally, for you, Cam, here at Cam's Pizzeria in Camilla's Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora Live, I want you to have an opportunity to say 2 things. Number 1, your words to Syracuse fans after spending your time here. And number 2, your words to your future NFL team.
Okay. What I say to my fans is, of course, thank you guys for being in the stands on those third downs, where, we pump up the crowd and that bell goes off. And, you pump up the crowd. It's like a video game almost. Like, you pump the crowd up and you see people standing up. That was probably the most awesome feeling. So, thank you guys for being a part of that. And for the future NFL team and the fans there, get ready for some havoc to be wreaked on the defense. So, we'll see you then.
Well, as always, truly appreciate it. I want to thank Tony and the entire team at Cam's Pizzeria. You can visit their locations here in Camillus, also in Oswego, at Lemoyne College, and in Baldwinsville. And Cam, always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Cam Lynch, heading to the NFL. I know no matter what you do, you're going to make it. You're going to be successful. And I look forward to the opportunity of talking with you all the way through this because you're a good guy. So, Cam Lynch, Dan Tortora, Cam's Camillus, thank you so much. This is Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And make sure you stay tuned for our next opportunity. We thank you so much.